Today's topic is...
You just told me that being a Warhammer fan just means it's Ikea for nerds?
Exactly.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to WAYPN! I'm Cal.
And I'm Sunny.
Today's topic is...
Why I get guys like Warhammer so much.
Alright, so you were talking about why you liked doing Warhammer, and what I realised was it just sounded like the Ikea effect. So describe what you liked.
So since I've started doing the hobby, I've slowly started to learn certain skills with it, right? First, it started out with just painting, and then I started learning how to use an airbrush, priming, and then recently I got to the part of assembly. I used to be very scared of that because it seemed very delicate, but after like playing with hobby glue, or not hobby glue, it's plastic glue. Plastic cement or whatever you call it. For the first time, I was like, you gotta scrape it, you gotta, cut it from the sprue, you gotta keep it neat and then assemble it, right? And after just using hobby glue for the first time, I felt like very accomplished for some reason. So I'm just like, this is why guys like it so much. This is because they get to start something from scratch all the way to the finished product, and they feel like they've built something. It's not just something to paint. It's something that fills you with a little bit of purpose, that you have sort of skills, hard skills. Is that like, because men like that sort of stuff, right? Like being
men
useful.
Like doing things.
Doing things, being useful.
Being useful, yes.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I realised that when you were talking is just sounded like the Ikea effect. Now, the effect is older than Ikea, right? So have you ever had a cake where it says add 2 eggs?
Add 2 eggs. Yeah, I think so. It's usually on the box kits.
So do you know that those recipes, the powdered recipes, can be made so that you don't have to add 2 eggs?
I don't understand.
Okay, you know how you add 2 eggs to the cake mix?
Yeah.
And, that's what makes the cake come out that way.
Okay.
All right. Before, what they used to do is they used to have everything you needed in the thing, and all you had to do was add water.
Right, exactly.
Not even milk, right? Now, what they found is that when they did market research with this, they found that these people didn't really like that. They're like, I felt like I've done nothing. I haven't actually baked a cake, right?
Or like it tastes bad? Do they?
No. It tasted exactly the same.
Okay.
Literally exactly the same. What they did was they said add 2 eggs, some milk, right? And they made it so that you had to add a few extra things.
Do something with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when you were talking about that, when you were talking about how, I get it, you got to do all these things. And finally, I took a look at it as an outsider. Right? Not as somebody who's a long-term part of the hobby. And the psychology part of my brain kicked in and just went, is this just the Ikea effect on crack? And so, like, the whole reason that people are attached to Ikea furniture, it's not great furniture, right? It's flat packed. You have to do all the assembly and all. These could be assembled.
Right.
But because you assemble them, you have a sense of attachment to it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, okay.
And I was just wondering, is that what this model making is? Is it just the Ikea effect on crack? You make these small things, all of that sort of thing. And is that it? Is that all it is?
I think essentially it could be just that. But I think when you take a look at it in a marketing perspective for the company, maybe they didn't exactly think all of that through. They're just like, okay, less work for us, but we get more money from the customer just so they can feel good about doing the things that we should have done, but you do it yourself.
Maybe they caught onto it by accident. Because I've worked for the company and I know a lot about the history of the company. Originally,
by the company you mean Games Workshop. Yeah.
And originally how they came out was they were just solid metal models, right?
Yes, right.
One piece. You just glue them into the base and that's it.
Oh,
right?
okay, sure. But
Right.
people complain about metal models all the time.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm not a big fan, but some people love metal models.
I do like it because it's like sort of heavy, makes it
Yes.
feel
Like your-
fancy.
Like your special dice, your blessed
Oh
dice.
yes, my blessed dice, which are made of copper. Well, they're just copper dice. I don't think they're actually made of copper, but they're heavy, and I feel like you can bless them at the altar, and now you have special dice that come out right every time.
Because
No, it doesn't.
copper is a special
Yeah, like
element or
in,
something.
in our religion, which is
What
Hindu.
is our?
Well, by our I mean like all of Indians who practice Hinduism. Basically, copper is a very good conductor of positive energy, and that's gold as well. So that's why we have a lot of gold involved in our culture. So that's what I did. I saw copper dice, and I was like, "You shall be my sanctified dice, and you shall protect me from the bad rolling."
It didn't work out, did it?
No, not exactly. No.
All right. So the thing I realized as we were having this conversation is that they eventually moved on to plastic and all of that, right? But the core idea remains the same because you've got to paint these models up, and that's what we were doing, right? When we did this, I realized, hey, it is just the act of putting effort into these things that makes you really, love them.
Yeah, you would. It's much like for girls with children, right? You put
models
effort
are
into,
children for men.
You put effort into raising a child, giving birth to it. You're invested in it, so you're kind of doing the same thing.
Yes, these
Models
dark
are just
elder are
children for
children.
men. Children for men. You can assemble it and you can play with it and you can, do the whole like pew 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 thing.
I just love that it's you saying this because, this is going to go down like a lead balloon. Anyway, but I think it's mostly the effort that we put into these things that makes us really enjoy them. And I wonder some of the times, is it the sunk cost fallacy? I guess what I am saying is this. When I take a look at some people, I see them grow out of love with the hobby. I think to myself, all right, what made you grow out of love with the hobby? And maybe they weren't really into it that much in the first place, but they just put so much time and effort in, and they're like, oh, I have to like this.
Yeah, I don't have a choice. I've already put so much of myself into it, my money into it, like I have to make something out of it.
Yeah.
In a way, it's a good and a bad thing because like it's kind of like the mentality that you have that you're in a bad situation, but you try to make the best out of it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But in this case, you're sort of forcing yourself to
That
like
is
something.
essentially the sunk fallacy.
I get what you're saying there, yeah.
Yeah. What I also looked at was I also saw myself and the pure joy I had in it back when I was a kid, and like you do that, you do everything right, you try and line everything up, and you can't do it quite right, and then you get better and better and better and better.
It's that sense of progression that you have, that sense of accomplishment and achievement, which is what makes you feel good.
I guess what today's topic is really about is what drives a Warhammer fan. Or what drives a,
person with this
gamer.
hobby. Yeah. Tabletop gaming, the hobby itself.
Yeah, diorama builder, whatever they
Yeah,
might
which
be.
I think is why it's really great that we have been doing these past videos about why you should be getting your partner into this hobby, because then they can also experience the same things that you experience and they can understand why this is good for a person. Hobbies are important. They keep you mentally sane, right? And some of the times when you're just sort of doing work, home, TV, you don't really feel like a human being, because like we are animals at the end of the day, and all animals are built to do something, right? So if we're built to just work and watch TV,
I guess
you're not like feeling you're using your natural senses properly.
I guess what you're
functioning.
trying to say is it's a break in that cycle. Have you ever seen those memes where it's that guy, he's going to work, he's in the car, he's in the cubicle, he's going to work, he's in the car.
Just a constant loop of things.
And I think some of the times there's a shower thrown in, right? And you're saying this thing could be a break that allows you to keep your sanity.
Which is why, like, men go out for fishing or camping or doing something with their bodies, making themselves feel useful.
Yeah.
Like they can actually do something with their own two hands, which is important to acknowledge.
You think you doing this has helped you understand me and understand men in general better?
Yes. And I think it's important to take part in activities that help people understand each partner better, you know? Partaking in lady things so that you understand why a woman thinks the way that she does. Partaking in men things so that you understand why guys think the way they do. And that just helps with communication. And I can only see that improving a relationship, to be fair.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just the way that you put it, you know, partaking in man things and partaking in lady things. And it's just like, this is going to be an adult podcast by the end. But I think we've pretty much covered it. Why do we do this hobby?
Yeah, which is exactly what it sounds. It's not just for fun. It's to feel a sense of accomplishment and purpose in your life.
Yeah, I guess. And, you know, it just makes you feel good. Mm-hmm. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
We would usually say keep those brushes wet. But in this episode, we will say keep those pew 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 going.
No, we'll just say keep those brushes wet.
Okay, you say it yourself this time. Bye.